What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Good morning. You're watching AMS Live. My name is Boy. We're at Polderbaan, and this is Delta Airlines flight 179. Outbound to Portland, Oregon, an A330-300, 20 years old, gear retracted and all. It's a lovely day. We're under the influence of high pressure over here in the Netherlands, and it shows. There's not a lot of wind. What wind there is blowing from just north of east, and since it has been a little bit variable, I thought I would set up over here just in case the wind would change a bit more to the south and Polderbaan might start getting used for arrivals, at which point we would be at a good location to see the incoming airplanes as well. Right now, departures take place to the north. Parallel departures are in progress. Center runway and Polderbaan are in use for departures. And the runway 36 right is now the only runway being used for arrivals. There's another airplane coming. It is still adjacent to the center runway. Coming this way. A 777-300 outbound to Paramaribo from KLM. The bird controller is doing a little bit of an inspection. As you guys can see, it is a bit hazy. Visibility is not 10 plus kilometers or better. However, there is hardly any wind. And the sun is out. Apart from the haziness, no clouds in the sky, no significant clouds, as you can also see in the meter, the NSC, no significant clouds. Not to be confused with new social contract. Mornings, folks. There are some birds in the water. They seem to hang around the part just, what is it, south of the bridge, in between the spot I was at on Monday and this location. There was a Grebe earlier here in my vicinity. I don't know where it's gone to. Maybe, yeah, there it is. Albeit a bit vague, it is definitely recognizable as a Grebe. Several airplanes are on the way to the Polderbaan as we speak. In fact, here are the first few. Let's see. KLM flight 713, the 777 to Paramaribo, an Embraer 190 from KLM flight 987 outbound to London City is behind it. It's probably going to precede the departure of the triple. Delta Airlines flight 57 also coming this way. Embraer 190 just took off from the center runway. The KLM triple is going to the runway threshold as expected, and indeed as expected, here we can see the Embraer 190. Taking the entrance that we stood in line with last Monday. This is KLM flight 987 outbound to London City. It is an Embraer 190, 14 years old. The first flight was in September 2009. In the meanwhile, a very good morning to everybody who has tuned in already. Nijmeegse Nieuwsnet, Valentijn, Jackie, Halil, Marja, Vinnie, Hans, Jinshin, aloha mate. Coming up next, KLM flight 713, outbound to Paramaribo in Suriname. She's a 777-300 ER, 3 years old, first flight January 2021. Got a honk from one of the Schiphol patrol vehicles. Good morning to all other viewers who have joined in the meantime. Carbike Paradise, Alvin, what is up mate? Peter, Gosse, Mrs. Professor, everybody who has tuned in the meantime, good morning. This is Delta Airlines flight 57, outbound to Salt Lake City. A330neo, 2 years old, first flight January 2022. Mr. Singleton, good morning, John. 6110 Swissport worker, good morning. Back to a couple of narrow bodies. Embraer 175, two of them, both KLM. This is KLM flight 1753, outbound to Bremen. The airplane is 6 years old. First flight was in November 2017. Good morning, RDW. Also sunny in the province of Brabant. That's good to hear. Goosey, good morning, good to see you again. Hope all is well. Emiel, goedemorgen. Alvin, what the F, mate? I told you before, that's not necessary. You're doing more than enough to support the channel as a moderator as it is already, mate. Thank you so much for your super sticker. Video game controller jumps up and down excitedly. So that's the trembling I was feeling over here. Oh, Emil says it's cloudy in the province of Friesland. That's in the northern, one of the northernmost provinces of the Netherlands. I did hear on the radio that later in the day more cloudiness was expected. The wind is also a little bit from the north, mostly from the east though. Wondering if that is the foreland of what is coming to us today. That's not a proper way to say it, foreland, that's Dutch. Voorland. Ooh, got a notification from PayPal from a very kind, generous donation from Jeffrey Godijn, who says, I was the captain on that flight KL 1986 on March 2nd. The co-was pilot flying, nice visual, and to my surprise you also filmed it beautifully from the outside, so thanks for that. It was also nicely filmed from within the cockpit, so I've got a lovely clip out of it, but not on social media due to KLM guidelines. Friendly, kind regards, Jeffrey Godijn. Jeffrey, if you're watching, thank you so much for your kind words and your very generous PayPal donation, mate. Still would love to see your footage. So if you could reach out to me. Would love to figure out a way to obtain your footage. Very curious. Awesome coincidence. High-pitched sound of departure from center. What is that? Seems like a regular 737. Okay. Interesting. Martin, goedemorgen. Pesto, goedemorgen. Bart, goedemorgen. Let's see. There is another airplane on its way by the looks of it. Embraer 190 outbound to Leeds, KLM flight 1545. Haven't seen the firefighters yet. They do seem to be ready for their patrol round. Now also a very, very big thank you to Goosey, who just now gifted 5 memberships. If you're one of the recipients, don't forget to thank Goosey for your gifted membership. If you're one of the new members, be sure to use the custom emojis that are now at your disposal whenever you see fit. Goosey, once again, thank you so much for your generosity. And welcome to the Aurora Sky Lounge. There's 5 new members. Now, this is Choc-y, our favorite high carb, high calorie Embraer 190, taking the entrance to the runway that we stood in line with last Monday. The DAPRI Embraer 190, flying for KLM, going to Leeds, 16 years old this one. First flight was in January 2008. Adrie, goedemorgen. Videorama HD, good morning. Roderick West, good day mate. Tuning in from Australia. Rudolf, goedemorgen. Lois, good morning. Also nice and sunny in Liverpool. Excellent, great to hear. Marianne, goedemorgen. All other viewers who might have joined in the meantime, a warm welcome to the show. Departures from Polderbaan today. I'm standing at the location where I'm also at for the arrivals. Because if the wind changes and becomes a little bit more southerly than it is right now, we might also get a runway change, and just for the eventuality I came prepared. Mark is asking, can you get a bus to that location from the airport? That's a good question. I don't know for sure. I do know that there are bus stops somewhere over here, but they're not really close by. But I never have come to this place with... There's another spotter. Never came to this place with anything else than my car, so I don't know exactly where the bus stop is. Your best bet to see how you can get here with public transportation would be to go to Google Maps, type in the word Spottersplaats Schiphol, which is also marked on the map, and then use directions and choose your proper mode of transportation. At least then you will see some options depending on where you depart from, how to get there with public transportation. But regardless of the combination of modes of transportation you choose, I think you will have to walk a substantial bit as a last leg of your journey. It's not a bus stop immediately at the parking place of the Spottersplaats, that I know for sure. So unfortunately this location is not very easily reachable by public transportation. Harry, goedemorgen. Rick, goedemorgen. Martijn, goedemorgen. Who is in the train between Heemstede and Haarlem? So that is indeed in the vicinity. Somewhere over there. Those high-rises you see are the beginning of Haarlem, the Schalkwijk part. And Heemstede is probably just in line with where I am standing, just a bit more to the west. More departures from center in the meantime. This is an A330 outbound to Kilimanjaro. KLM flight 753, A330-200. 17-year-old airplane, first flight April 2006. Vliegveld Twente spotters, goedemorgen. Danny Rules, goedemorgen. Janus, good morning. Good to see you, my man. Frits, goedemorgen kerel. Good to see you again. Hope all is well. Hey Darlie, thank you for the kind words. Tuning in from Omaha. Very early morning to you then. Or late night. Now, the only runway being used at the moment for arrivals is runway 36 right. That's the easternmost of the three north-south oriented runways, and as you can see it is quite far removed from where we are standing right now, so hard to see anything in detail of airplanes landing, even if any 747s or the A380 would land on that runway. Unfortunately not a lot to see from over here. Goedemorgen Robinho. Norbert, good morning my man. Patrick, good morning, tuning in from Switzerland. Welcome. Now, let's see. Still in awaiting of the next airplanes to Polderbaan. There are A320 by the looks of it coming this way. They're going around the southern threshold of the center runway. So if you have a look on flight radar, you can see them coming to the north to this area. First up is an A320neo, destination London Luton. Will be followed by an A330-300 going to Atlanta, I think. There are all labels over each other, making it hard to read. This is an E2 Embraer 195 going to Nice, which is nice. KLM flight 1253. Three years old, first flight January 2021. Seems that there's a police vehicle on the other side of the runway. Oh, and even a police motorcyclist by the looks of it. With the door open. Okay. Interesting. The fire engines are still parked in front of the fire station. Fritz, thank you so much for just now gifting 5 memberships. That's very generous of you. If you are one of the recipients, don't forget to say dankjewel Fritz for the gifted membership. Be sure to use the custom emojis that are now at your disposal if you're one of the 5 new members courtesy of Fritz. Fritz, thank you so much for your generosity and welcome to the Aurora Sky Lounge, those new members. Malky says, looks like they're filming the motorcycle. Sure, there was a cameraman in the back of the van. That would explain something. Maybe corporate promo film or something. Now, unfortunately, they've gone. They're no longer there. There's still one person over there. Armed with a camera by the looks of it. In the meantime, I think we're seeing traffic coming our way. Now I'm also getting a notification from PayPal that I just received a very kind donation from Harry Nobbe. Harry, thank you so much for that. Very much appreciated. I hope you're watching and you're listening and are hearing me say thank you. Very generous, very kind. Thank you so much. Maria says that they already did the round at 8:30. Okay, well, that's a bit too early for me. Mr. Master, goedemorgen. Patrick, goedemorgen. Aviation 1993, tuning in from Münster. Morgen. Right, now, what is coming this way? The A320neo, already on the move. The A330 is now turning around the corner to come this way. In its wake, an Embraer 175 going to Linköping. Meanwhile, more departures take place from center. E2 Embraer now taking off to Marseille. Hey there, Jinshin. Aloha. Good to see you, mate. Right, the first of the triplets that was on its way over here is arriving on this part of the platform area. Going to London Luton, it is an EasyJet A320neo, flight 22512. That seems to be making a left-hand turn and going to the runway threshold. Windsock also visible, just right of center. Not much wind, as you guys can see. And there's the A330. Now it looks like there's also a 737-800 to Helsinki on its way. And there's also a Dreamliner 10 on the way going to Bogota. Very likely candidate to take off from this runway. Right, so this is KLM EasyJet A320neo outbound to London Luton, flight 22512. The airplane is 6 years old. The first flight was in May 2017. Interestingly, the Embraer 175 is going to the entrance that we stood in line with last Monday, so probably going to take off after this Neo, but before the A330 to Atlanta. Basil, morning mate, tuning in from Mumbai. Leodine, guten Morgen. Clemencia, morgen. And here she comes. Oh, she's light. And as you might have seen in the quick brief moment that we passed by it, there was also a contrail over here. In fact, two. Perfect visibility and apparently enough moisture in the upper atmosphere for contrails to form today. And the A330 is lined up, and the Embraer 175 KLM flight 1179 outbound to Linköping is coming this way. KLM flight 1179, 7 years old, first flight January 2017. Right, next up, A330-300 time, KLM flight 623 outbound to Atlanta, Georgia. particular airplane is 9 years old. First flight was in October 2014. And indeed, car bike paradise. This is the best place to film flybys of airplanes. Absolutely. Good morning, Dutch Kangaroo and Mr. Blue Sky. En all other viewers who might have joined in the meantime. Peppy, Servus, schön, dass du auch wieder mal dabei bist. Ich hoffe, es geht dir gut. Big Al. What is up, Alan? Good to see you, mate. Hope all is well. Hey Anne, goedemorgen kerel. Goed je weer te zien. Canna, chef Chris. Polderbaan departures indeed, my friend. Und Grüße zurück nach Dresden. Seit Geburt Scholli. Herzlich willkommen. Koenie, goedemorgen. All other viewers who have joined in the meantime, welcome to the show. You're watching AMS Live. My name is Boy. We're standing at Polderbaan for departures. Currently one of two runways being used for departures together with runway 36 center. This being 36 left. Runway 36 right is currently the only runway being used for arrivals. We have wind blowing from the east-northeast, just a little bit north of directly east, which is why I was set up over here in case the wind should turn a little bit to the south and this runway would get used for arrivals instead. So far it looks like it's going to be a morning of departures. Johan also confirming still a bit cloudy in the north of the country. And Alan absolutely doing perfectly fine. Voice is also getting better. Family is also doing well, as far as I know. Stefan, goedemorgen. Curry Jesus, morning. This is KLM flight 1167 outbound to Helsinki, Finland. 737-800. 13 years old, first flight November 2010. Now, is that the Grebe that I saw earlier? Hard to see. Was already migrating a little bit further to the north. Don't see any birds in the immediate vicinity over here, unfortunately. Also the birds that were further to the south don't seem to have come any closer, or well, there was one sensing my camera pointing towards it, immediately diving under. That was under the bridge by the looks of it. Hey Berend, goedemorgen. NH, good morning to you too. The cat, goedemorgen. Meow meow. Now, up next, KLM flight 749. It is going to Bogota in Colombia, 787-10 Dreamliner. The PHBKK, 3 years old. The first flight was in December 2020. Hey Sarah, morning. Boston represent. East Coast is present. Hope all is well, Sarah. Remember to zoom out sooner, and those 787-10 Dreamliners are so large. Hard to get them in the frame if you don't zoom out in time. Next up, another KLM 737, this one to Manchester. Got another contrail in the sky over there already. The airplane is moving away from us, so no use trying to zoom in on it as it is already minute. This is KLM flight 1073 outbound to Manchester, 737-800, 23 years old. First flight December 2000. Josephine, goedemorgen, good morning. Steven Seagal has not yet been spotted over here, no. I only saw Gary the Grebe for a moment, but he's missing as well in the meantime. He's gone missing. I haven't seen any of the coots or the ducks just yet, but we know from experience that ducks are night owls, like to sleep in, so maybe as the morning progresses we will start seeing them again. Good morning, Lucas. Texas, goedemorgen, good morning. Hope everybody is doing well. Debbie, good morning. And John, good evening, mate. Tuning in from Melbourne. Mark says, if I were a duck or gull, I'd live right there. As long as you're careful that you don't get sucked into airplane engines, it's a perfect location. Lots of grass, lots of water. And apparently also lots of worms, as we saw Seagull Fest 2024 earlier in the year, when the field to my right was getting plowed. This is KLM flight 1917 outbound to Poland, Gdansk, E2 Embraer 195, has a sticker on the left side, so we might get to see it, although backlight is interfering a little bit. They are awfully quiet. This airplane is a year old. The first flight was in September 2022. Basil says, I'll be traveling from Mumbai to Amsterdam this Saturday. Yeah, well, as it happens, since the weather forecast for this weekend is sunshine galore, and I have been wanting to finish working on my terrace in my backyard, which needs me to hire a big ass circular saw to cut tiles to pieces to rearrange my terrace so that I can facilitate also a patch of grass. Had to wait for half a year, but this weekend the weather seems to be okay. So what I did yesterday was asked if my uncle has time does. So I also checked if I could rent that circular saw, and I could, so I did all that, and we will start working tomorrow. So won't be streaming tomorrow, and probably won't be streaming on Saturday, and maybe even also not on Sunday. Depends on how long it takes before we're finished. Rented the machine for the entire weekend, so that is from tomorrow noon until Monday noon. So after today, I don't know when my next stream will be. Maybe Sunday, but if not, then probably only on Monday then. Hey there, Michael. Good to see you again, mate. Hope all is well. Hope your trip to Germany is going a treat. It's not a proper expression, going a treat. Still early here. Good morning, Matov. Flickerum. Good morning. Now, Anna, I also received notification from PayPal just now of a very generous donation from you. Thank you so much, Anna. Very much appreciated. I see that Ton is also in the chat. Good morning, Ton. Right. Up next, Shamrock A320 outbound Dublin. Flight 603. 18-year-old airplane, first flight October 2005. Hey Gerrit, goedemorgen. Good to see you again, mate. See that Evan is also in the chat. Good morning. Top of the morning, Evan. Hope all is well. Senor Rodriguez. Kevin, thank you for the kind words. Kevin says, well, your channel is so fantastic, my friend. Thank you so much for your kind words. I do my best. Hope it shows. Hey there, James. Good morning. Good to see you. Hey Han, goedemorgen kerel. Hope all is well, Han. Right, our next airplane to depart, KLM Flight 1127. Outbound Copenhagen, 737-800. Hey, 747 is coming our way, that's good news. Outbound to Miami. Nice. Nice indeed. Hey Roy, goedemorgen kerel. Good to see you again. Hope all is well. Right, now Embraer 175 outbound to Teesside or Darlington will be up first, and then two heavies, the second of the heavies, the first queen. So if you need to go to the bathroom, you still have a few more minutes, but be quick, won't be long. And can we see Her Highness already? Yes, the KLM Cargo. Terrific. First, this little snack, KLM Flight 1533, Embraer 175, going to Teesside / Darlington, 7 years old, first flight March 2016. Miss Wolves, good morning. Good to see you again. Hope all is well. Everything is fine here with me. Voice is getting better, as you probably can hear. Mikey, good morning, mate. TV star, well, we'll have to see. First, let's see how much of the footage gets in the documentary. Now, next up, KLM flight 601, outbound to LAX, 787-10 Dreamliner. She's 4 years old. The first flight was in November 2019. And also a massive big thank you to John, who just now gifted 5 memberships. John, thank you so much for your generosity. If you were one of the recipients, don't forget to say thank you to John. And be sure to use those custom emojis that are now at your disposal, including that KLM 747. You'll be having a chance to use it properly after this departure. TNC, good morning. Foggy in Leicestershire. Well, it's also a bit hazy over here, but not full-blown fog, luckily. Well, as you can see, it is a bit hazy. Right, I have to remember, zoom out in time. She's long and big. Yeah, and as much as I would like to linger, I am going to return the camera to the south because there's a vista that you don't get to see every day. Here we go, KLM 747. And if you're liking what you're seeing, be sure to drop a like. It really helps to spread this content to other aviation enthusiasts such as yourselves. This is KLM Cargo, operated by Martin Air Holland, flight 6141, outbound to Miami, Florida, 747-400 freighter. She's 20 years old. Her first flight was in January 2004. All hail the Queen. Let's look and listen. Wind is actually picking up. You can probably hear it. Already much higher than an A330 would have been at this point. Now, the ultimate, really stop it. A red hand pointing up. Thank you for your super sticker, my friend. But really, you're doing more than enough as this, as a moderator. Now, there are some birds in the vicinity. Have a look. Looks like Donald and Daisy have awoken. No wonder with the 747 just passing by them. We'll have to wait a little bit for the next airplane to take off. There is an Embraer 190 outbound to Billund making its way to the threshold by the looks of it. Now, Evan celebrates 10 months of membership and he writes, sounds are sounding extra delicious today. The wind is blowing in this direction, so we do get the audio a bit better, I think. The wind is helping. Thank you so much for your continued support, Evan. And thank you for your kind words and for always tuning in. One of our regulars, Evan Rodriguez, celebrating 10 months of membership. Thank you so much, Evan. Always a pleasure to have you on the stream. Now, up next, KLM flight 1343, Embraer 190, outbound Billund. The airplane is 10 years old. The first flight was in October 2013. Ooh. Good morning to Jendrosek and Adrian and all other viewers who have joined in the meantime. Up next is going to be Air Baltic, outbound to Riga. The Bombardier C-Series 300, nowadays called A220, flight 618. No special livery today, unfortunately, unlike Monday. The airplane is 7 years old. The first flight was in November 2016. Happy New Year, folks. Courtesy of the bird controller coming this way. If you like firecrackers, if you like driving in pickup trucks, maybe this is the job for you. And also a big thank you to our moderator Tiger, who celebrates 6 months of membership. And she writes, I remember the day exactly 6 months ago. Well, thank you so much for everything you've been doing in support of this channel. And thank you so much for your continued membership as well, Tiger. Vielen Dank, Dankeschön, thank you so much. Well, you can hear it. I see that Captain Edibos is also back in the chat. Good evening, Captain Edibos. Hope all is well. Chris and Curtis, Coot, they're back. And they're sure to let us know. Now, there's also a contrail coming this way. Let's have a look. Probably something from Frankfurt to the United States. Twin jet by the looks of it. Looks like it's going to pass south of me. Due to the lighting, hard to see the airplane itself. Just the contrail is visible. We'd have to have another look at it once it is behind us with the sun in our back. Makes for better contrast. But we're not, because there are heavies going to take off from Polderbaan in a moment. To begin with, Delta Airlines Flight 133, outbound to Detroit, Michigan. A 17-year-old Airbus A330-300 that had its first flight in November of the year 2006. Not far behind it is another 787-10 Dreamliner, outbound to San Francisco, KLM Flight 605. And a couple of narrow bodies behind it. And Anna already informing us that the airplane that we saw just now is going from Frankfurt to Montreal, if I recall correctly. YUL, Montreal, Montreal. Air Canada A330 to Toronto, Mauki says. And hey there, Kelly Cruz. Good morning. Hope all is well. morning to Guy. And Ton says BVA lining up on center, is that so? Let's see. Oh yeah, thank you Tom. KLM Orange Pride now lining up on center for departure. We don't have favorable lighting with the sun, but let's see what we can make of it. I think I can hear it already. PH BVA KLM 777 Orange Pride. And meanwhile, KLM flight 605 to San Francisco, 787-10 Dreamliner is also coming this way. Oh. Alrighty. Hey, are they back? Let's see. Now, was there indeed a cameraman? Hard to see. They have tied the door open, so that does seem to indicate they don't want it shutting down while they're driving. Now I'm also going to switch on my hand warming equipment, because with just gloves on with the wind and the low temperatures, it is getting a little bit chilly. Next up is an EasyJet A320 outbound to Manchester, flight 22162, 8 years old, first flight February 2016. And our next airplane to depart from Polderbaan is going to be KLM flight 1143, going to Oslo, A737-800. So this is KLM flight 1143, outbound Oslo, 737-800. The airplane is 9 years old. The first flight was in March 2014. And no, made in Australia, I don't have new mics. The direction of the wind and the wind speed has everything to do with how loud the audio is perceived. I always use default volume settings. But when it's windy, or if the wind is blowing away from us, it is sounding softer than when the wind is blowing towards us a little bit. And that's the case right now. We have wind blowing from east to west mostly, which means that the engine sounds are all blown into our direction, into the mic. Right, time for another Air Baltic A220 outbound to Tallinn. Flight 858, 6 years old, first flight, June 2017. In the background you can see a 7879 Dreamliner that is going to go to Houston, Texas, which will be the next airplane. And in the background you will see a 777 appear from the left in a moment, going to Quito, 777-200. Also heavy's taking off from center. With a triple just now having taken to the sky. And Air Baltic on its way. Pity that they just turned around the corner, otherwise we would have been able to have a look inside the back of that police van. Maybe we'll get another chance later. For now, let's focus on Polderbaan. Outbound traffic, KLM flight 661 lined up, ready to go to Houston in a moment. A 787-9 Dreamliner. 6 years old, first flight August 2017. And Jackie, no, I did not see any special liveries on the departures list for today from Air Baltic. Unfortunately for us. Then again, having two on the same day like last Monday is also exceptional. Right, now lining up behind us on Polderbaan is KLM flight 751 outbound to Quito, a 777-200. ER 18 years old, first flight February 2006. Embraer 190 to London City, BA also over there. BA A321neo to Heathrow also over there. Those are the next three airplanes. visualization of the wind. The wind blowing from the east mostly, a little bit north of east. Only small ripples in the water over here. And is that a Grebe? Yeah, looks like it. Oh, Happy New Year, bird controller, once again sending on fireworks. Lined up is BA City Flyer flight 8496 outbound to London City. It is an Embraer 190 that is 10 years old. Its first flight was in March 2014. And a warm welcome to everybody who has joined in the meantime. You're watching AMS Live. My name is Boy. We are standing alongside the Polderbaan, currently in use for departures to the north as runway 36 left. As you guys can see, the sun is out. It's a bit hazy. We have a little bit of wind from the east, northeast. And until just now, parallel departures were still in progress. And the Embraer is light. That's going to mean acrobatics for me, because it will be relatively high once it passes by. And let's go! How high, you might ask? Yay high! Now, the fireworks of the bird controller seems to be chasing Gary into this direction, although no. Lined up right now is BA flight 429. It's an A321neo. Destination is London Heathrow. Brand new airplane. Began flying for the first time last October. So, an A321neo, a month older than Transavia's A321neo. In the background, KLM flight 689, 7879 Dreamliner outbound to Cancun in Mexico. Sounds like motorcyclists, scooter motorcycles. We have a distinction between mopeds, 50cc maximum, and anything higher is a motorcycle for which you need a different driver's license here. Sounded more like motorcycle scooters than moped scooters with 50cc engines. This is KLM flight 689 going to Cancun, 7879 Dreamliner, 5 years old, first flight March 2018. Let's go! turbo zoom. Yeah, it looks pixelated, doesn't it? Nearly 400 times digital zoom on top of 20 times optical zoom that was. Looks like our next airplane to depart is going to depart to Copenhagen. An SAS A319 by the looks of it. Starline's livery, as you guys can see. Flight 552. The massive big thank you to Made in Australia for your super chat, Made. Made in Australia writes, I want to be famous just like Boy. Well, don't know if I am famous already, but the channel is growing nicely, so we are well underway to become something of a name in the branch that we are in. Thank you so much for your kind words and your very generous super chat there. Here is the SAS A319 outbound to Copenhagen. Right, in the meantime, it does look like the wind is picking up. Maybe if we have a little break. Looks like we will have a little break after this departure to do an update of the meter. See what the wind is doing right now officially. Before that, KLM flight 1009 outbound to London Heathrow. This is a 737-700. Is that so? Yeah. Oh yeah. For a moment I thought it was a different airplane type. Looking at the engine profile, looked more round and not so much flattened at the bottom, but now I see it. The airplane is 13 years old. Her first flight was in February 2011. And Rob says, hello from South Dakota, US. Good morning, Rob. Hope all is well. Welcome to all other viewers who have joined in the meantime. You're watching Amos Live, and these are Polderbaan departures. We've got traffic coming this way. To begin with, United 777 to Houston. We'll see them appear in the background soon enough. Let's have a quick look at the current weather situation. Last time I checked, we did not have very much wind. A refresh of the METAR shows that we now have a bit more northeasterly wind, in fact. So in fact the wind has turned more to the north. And the METAR says 10 knots or 3 Beaufort. And it is CAV okay, which means that the ceiling and visibility are okay until the ceiling of 5,000 feet, I believe, in the case of Schiphol. 10 plus kilometers of visibility. 7 degrees Celsius is the air temperature. That is approximately 44 degrees Fahrenheit. In terms of runway usage. Let's refresh. Still the same. Parallel departures. We are standing approximately over here at the runway called Polderbaan. 36 left. 36 right is now the only runway being used for arrivals. Meanwhile, in the background, we can see that the 777 is gradually moving towards the runway threshold. Gives me a few more moments to paste that meter that I copied just now. Not everybody knows what it means, so let me also take you through it as it is appearing. The meter, the weather of EHAM or Schiphol Airport, AMS, EHAM, those are international abbreviations for Schiphol Airport. The report is from the 7th, 9:25 Zulu time, that is 10:25 Central European time, and that you can see in the bottom left corner of your screen. The wind, 070 degrees, 10 knots. The wind is variable between 040 degrees and 100 degrees. CAV OK means ceiling and visibility are okay. 7 degrees is the air temperature, 3 degrees Celsius is the dew point. The QNH, the air pressure, is 1025 hectopascals, and no significant changes in the upcoming 2 hours are expected. That is what no sig means. Now in the meantime, the first airplane is still holding short and isn't lining up yet. Looking around me, there is a bird controller behind me, north of us, but it is on the strip next to the runway and not on the runway, so there's no inspection or anything going on. Now there's also an airplane on the left hand side that is going to go ahead, probably. That's the Corendon Max 9. That now also seems to be turning onto the runway, lining up to depart to Edinburgh. For some reason it is now the number 6 worldwide most tracked on flight radar by 300 people. 7 worldwide, okay. Interest is subsiding. Right, there we go, Corendon Airlines, Max 9, outbound Edinburgh. New airplane, first flight October 2023. I remember we saw it when it was coming to the Netherlands from the Boeing plant, I think. Was last summer, I believe? Or in fall or something. I believe I was standing at the northern threshold of the runway for arrivals that day. So that was the Corendon Max 9, and in the meantime, lined up behind us, one of several heavies. The heavy rush hour picking up a little bit. Up first, United Airlines Flight 21. It's 777-200 going to Houston, Texas. This 200ER began flying in the previous millennium, 25 years ago. First flight was in October 1998. There's also a Kestrel hovering in my vicinity, but I don't think we will be able to make a combo shot out of it. It's a bit too high. Poof, little bit of brake dust. And what a growl this one made. Next up is going to be Delta Airlines in a special livery, Team USA. Delta Airlines flight 143, outbound to Seattle, Washington. This airplane is 2 years old, first flight May 2021, it's an A330neo. USA, USA, indeed Lois. You can just hear the people cheering the airplane, USA, USA. Not to be confused with Team America. Now, more heavies. One lined up, one in the queue. Lined up is Delta Airlines Flight 161. The cousin of the airplane that we saw just now, the A330-300. This one going to Minneapolis, Minnesota. 20 years old, first flight August 2003. Indeed, Team America World Police. That was so funny. I'm so ornery. Indeed, Adriaan, Delta always noisy. Let's look and listen. Meanwhile, I'm happy to report that Russell and Cheryl have been located. Crew present once again. Up next, 777-300ER outbound Cape Town, South Africa. KLM flight 597, 11 years old, first flight May 2012. Right, time to lubricate the throat a little with H2O. And then it is back for a couple of narrow bodies. The first dish served is KLM flight 1583 going to Bologna. Embraer 190, 14 years old, first flight March 2010. Got a Vueling to Barcelona, following it EasyJet to Berlin, also coming this way, and bigger jets also underway, including one to China. Timo is informing us that 36 center is now being used for landings. That means that this is now the only runway being used for departures. I will update the ticker once I get the chance for it. Right now, first, the departure to Bologna. Up next, Vueling, flight 8301. A321 outbound Barcelona, 7-year-old airplane, first flight December 2016. Got another Schiphol vehicle coming this way. Number 52. Not sure what those vehicles are doing here. Don't see the dredgers anymore, by the way. Maybe they are on the other side of the runway. This is EasyJet A320 flight 25282 outbound to Berlin. 8-year-old airplane, first flight June 2015. Already high in the sky as it passed by. Got one more narrow body and then it is back to the heavies. Alan says catch you later. Already has to go. Thank you for joining, Alan. Enjoy the rest of your day, mate. Hope to see you on the next one. KLM flight 1109 up next, outbound to Stockholm, 737-800. 4 years old, first flight December 2019. Behind it, lined up already, is a 7879 Dreamliner outbound to Rio de Janeiro, KLM flight 705. And that Chinese triple is also coming this way. We might see a glimpse of it in the background, or no, I think it's still too far out. flight KLM Flight 705 outbound to Rio de Janeiro 7879 Dreamliner. 6 years old, first flight January 2018. Now another airplane that is going to get loud and gnarly probably. China Southern Cargo going to Shanghai. Flight 496. 777 freighter, 3 years old, first flight March 2020. You can see that the airplane is crabbing out, leaning a little bit in against the wind that is blowing from the northeast at the moment, from the right to the left from this point of view. Also a bit more high clouds in the meantime drifting in. Now, this is the direction the wind is blowing from. But it is getting a little bit more. No, there's also one isolated low cloud here in the sky south of me. There's a vehicle over there. The heat distortion made it seem a bit funny. This is EasyJet flight 22922 going to Bristol in a moment. A321neo. TUI MAX 8 is following in its wake to. It's going to go to Fuerteventura. First up, the EasyJet A321neo outbound Bristol. The airplane is 4 years old. The first flight was in March 2019. Goedemorgen Evert and all other viewers who might have joined in the meantime. So, A321neo and then a Boeing 737 MAX 8. Nice comparison of engine sounds possible. So we've now heard the A321neo. In a moment we are going to hear the MAX 8. You guys let me know which one you think sounds the best of the two. And Bob Smith says, good morning Bob, welcome to the show. Dion, also good morning, back in class. Paul, morning mate, good to see you again, hope all is well. Right, back-to-back comparison, A321neo just now, and up next MAX 8 TUI, outbound Fuerteventura, 5-year-old airplane already, first flight February 2019. Me personally, I thought that the 21neo sounded better than the MAX 8. Now another nice comparison is coming up, although this one is a bit more quiet. It's another one of the Bombardier C series, aka Airbus A220s. 300s, Air France flight 1341. We'll be going to Paris Charles de Gaulle in a few moments. From the runway threshold all the way back. Relatively new airplane. First flight was in March 2023. Now we are going to see several heavies again. There are several now on their way over here, taxiing along the center runway around the northern threshold this time round. Guy says that he likes the MAX 8 better in terms of sound. Let's have a look. Yes, there we go. We can see the traffic taxiing around the northern threshold, albeit just like shark fins in the water. Allowing us to more or less pinpoint, unless it is behind this building, where the threshold is with the center runway. Well, I can see an airplane tail. I think it's over there. Yeah. Or is it going to continue even further? No. That's where the threshold is. Now you see the tail coming towards us. That must be Air Europa then, or no? Speedbird. Now, if I'm correct, we should see the first airplane in a moment. TUI flight 351 outbound to Curaçao. Boeing 7878. That is the first airplane coming this way. Not far behind it is Delta Airlines flight 73 by the looks of it. Yeah, outbound to Atlanta, Georgia. And Dion, do come say hi if you are in the vicinity next time. Definitely do that. Yep, here she is, the A330 Delta Airlines flight 73. Ah, look at that. Yep, of course. Mother ducker. Question is, where will you reappear? And the answer is all the way over there. Well, if you have an itch, better scratch. Gary the Grebe. Now, in the meantime, Russell is also making a ruckus. Spring is in the air and the animals come out of their shelters and some even get loud. Yeah. That's definitely Russell. Chris and Curtis Coot. In the meantime, our first airplane has arrived at the Polderbaan threshold. TUI flight 351 outbound to Willemstad, Curaçao. 7878 Dreamliner, 9 years old, first flight May 2014. Climbing not so steeply. Also waited a bit with retracting the landing gear. Up next, Delta Airlines, flight 73, outbound Atlanta, Georgia. A330-300, 17 years old, first flight October 2006. Wind is absolutely picking up a little bit. Oh, that's zooming in. I really wish I could already start streaming again barehandedly without needing gloves. You can definitely see that the chimney smoke is rising more horizontal, or is vacating more horizontally than vertically, as it did earlier still. BA up next, flight 2541, outbound to London Gatwick. The airplane is 21 years old, the first flight was in March 2002. Daniel says, hey everyone from Melbourne, hope you're all well. I am definitely well. And welcome, hope all is well with you as well. Now there's also a Vueling A320 outbound to Bilbao that is holding short but lined up at the first entrance to the runway that we stood in line with earlier in the week. Might be the next airplane after this one. As a Dreamliner from Air Europa to Madrid is making its way over to the runway threshold in the distance. Meanwhile, there's a twin jet passing almost immediately overhead from southeast to northwest. Don't know exactly what that is. Also hardly any time. The A320 from Vueling to Bilbao is already underway. Next up, Air Europa flight 1098 7879 Dreamliner outbound to Madrid. 3-year-old airplane, first flight March 2020. And also a massive big thank you to Chris for your super chat, mate. Thank you so much. Cheers. Mother Ducker priceless. That's got to be worth a super chat. Keep up the great work, mate, from Australia. Cheers, mate. We'll do that. Do the best I can. And glad you're liking what you're seeing. If you guys are liking what you're seeing and you haven't done so already, don't forget to drop a like. It really helps to spread this content to more aviation enthusiasts such as yourselves. Also, if you want to stay informed of upcoming live streams, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon if you hadn't already. Now it is Dreamliner time. I think it's also time to start re-engaging image stabilizer. See if that will mitigate the vibrations that you see now and then somewhat. And Guy says, Emirates 777-300ER Dubai to Newcastle. That was the contrail just now. Thanks for that, Guy. Time for another Vueling, ladies and gentlemen. And also quickly in the camera menu, where is it? Image stabilizer standard. Engaged. Let's see if that helps a little. And also a big thank you to Evert, who just now became a member and the latest member of the Aurora Sky Lounge. Thank you so much for choosing AMS Live, Evert. I hope you like it in the lounge. The custom emojis are now all at your disposal. Use them whenever you see fit. Thank you for your support there, Evert. Brian says hello from sunny Manchester. Great stream. Thanks, Brian. Welcome to the show. Hope you are going to like it. K1 passing by just now, left of me. And there she goes. Vueling flight 6815 outbound to Florence, Firenze. A319. 16 years old already, first flight January 2008. Right, so the high clouds that we saw drift in earlier seem to have dissolved. Instead, now we have a few lower clouds forming. Interesting developments in the sky. Still mostly blue skies, as you guys can see, so it does also look like visibility on ground level is improving. Had a bit of haziness earlier in the morning. It seems to be evaporating. Now, let's see what is up next. I think that is the EasyJet A319 to Manchester. Seems to be so. 14-year-old airplane, first flight September 2009. Gabidela says hello from Portugal. Welcome to the show. Welcome. JWB is back. Good to see you again. Righty, time for another light snack. In the SkyTeam livery outbound to Toulouse, which is opposite of what we would like to go to, because we would like to go to win. KLM flight 1303, Embraer 190, 11 years old, first flight April 2012, the PHEZX. And if you like Embraer 175s, you are lucky, because our next airplane is another Embraer 175 from Lot, going to Warsaw, flight 266. Nick asks about A380s. Well, there is an A380 expected to depart, but it first has to arrive, as another heavy is lining up in the background. There's only one A380 coming to Schiphol on a daily basis. That is from Emirates. It first has to land. Which it probably will between 12:30 and 1 on average these days. And then usually after 3 hours it is taking off again to Dubai, so that is more than likely around 3:30 or so p.m. local time. Ronald tuning in from Rotterdam. Goedemorgen. Now, next up, another airplane that promises to get loud. Already spooling up, going to Curaçao, KLM flight 735, 777-300ER, 14 years old, first flight May 2009. Previous airplane also nicely visible, captured in one shot. Alrighty, now time for more narrow body snacks. There's the first one in the foreground, the windsock, that looks to be moving a bit more than it did before. A320neo from SAS is the first airplane to arrive on this part of the platform area. And you can clearly see that landings on center are still very much in progress. Being on the northern half of this runway already, which is more northerly than the other runways, you don't get to see a lot of it. There it is, the A320neo from SAS going to Stockholm in a few moments. Finnair, and behind the Finnair a CRJ, I believe the first of the stream. Meanwhile, the A320neo to Stockholm is coming this way. Flight 556 SAS. The airplane is 4 years old. First flight October 2019. Meanwhile, there's an airplane flying northwest of me from northeast to southwest. Looks like a small twin jet. Where is it? There it is. No time to look around, man. It's the bleeping CRJ skipping the line. What the fudge? Lufthansa flight 999. The CRJ9 going to Frankfurt. 14 years old, first flight February 2010. Right, Finnair outbound to Helsinki up next. A321, flight 1302. This airplane is 6 years old. The first flight of this airplane was in December 2017. Next airplane to take off from Polderbaan, or at least one of the next airplanes, is the Air Astana A321neo, making its way over to the side of the platform area, going to the threshold of the runway, and looks like that is going to be the last refreshment, appetizer, before back to the main course of heavy dishes. The first of which is a 777-200 to Sao Paulo, KLM Flight 791. There's also a Dreamliner from United coming this way. Dreamliner to Panama City also coming this way. I can see the A321neo going to Boston. Circling around the threshold of the center runway. There it is, the tail of the A321neo from JetBlue. Right, Air Astana, outbound Atirau, flight 904, A321neo, 4-year-old airplane, first flight August 2019. Howdy Art, goedemorgen. And all other viewers who have joined, you're just in time. And another batch of heavies. Starting with KLM Flight 791, outbound to Sao Paulo, 777-200ER. She's 17 years old, her first flight was in April 2006. Hey, first time since I am standing here that I am sort of temporarily in semi-shade. What fudge. Little bit of shade by a little itty bitty cloud. But the sun is out again in full. Here we go. Next up is United Airlines Flight 908 going to Chicago O'Hare, Boeing 787-8 Dreamliner. Will turn 10 in a couple of months. First flight was in June 2014. And indeed, Han, I also thought that Astana was a bicycle team. Flying AMS Live logo indeed. Now Adrian, it's not too bad over here. Plus I don't have a lot of skin exposed that needs sunscreen protection. I'm still standing here with heated gloves on, so it's not exactly shirts and shorts weather just yet, but it does look like slowly but surely we're going there again. Next up, SAS Flight 822 A320 outbound to Oslo. A 17-year-old airplane that had its first flight in July 2006. JetBlue A321neo also has arrived in the meantime, and following it is KLM Flight 757. That is the Dreamliner 10 outbound to Panama City. That looks like it is going to become the third airplane to depart from the triplet now. Over there. Well, duo. Because this one is leaving very quickly. Time to turn back the camera. JetBlue A321neo outbound to Boston, Massachusetts is going to be the next airplane. Flight 632. The airplane is 2 years old. The first flight was in August 2021. Right, going to Panama City with a wide nose, KLM Flight 757, which is the 787-10 Dreamliner PHBKL. Just a year old, first flight was in June 2022. Going to Panama City with a wide nose already. Appearing in the background from the left in a moment is going to be a BA Embraer 190 outbound to London City. BA City Flyer. Hey there Paul, hey there Mario, good morning to you all other viewers who have joined in the meantime. A warm welcome to AMS Live, my name is Boy and we are standing alongside the Polderbaan, runway 36 left, departures to the north. At the moment the only runway being used for departures. The sun is out, although here and there a couple of minor clouds are forming. Winds blowing from the northeast at the moment. And this is BA Flight 8452 going to London City. It is an Embraer 190. 11 years old, first flight July 2012. Now, Sally and Stephen have also returned. They are over there and over there. Already saw Donald and Daisy. We already saw Russell and Cheryl, Gary, Chris and Curtis. So I think all the birds that we have become accustomed to seeing here have returned. Now, what's the hold up? Let me look behind me. No pickup trucks on the runway at the moment, on the tarmac. Not exactly sure why the Embraer is not doing anything. Well, I know they say patience is a virtue, but oh, see that I have to update the ticker. Why, you might wonder. Departures also once again taking place from center. Parallel departures have begun once more. Well, she's going to London City. Not a lot of fuel required. And that's the difference in height, as you guys can see, already quite high. Now another contrail passing just north of me from mostly east to mostly west, but a little bit from south to north by the looks of it. Much more easily visible what it might be with the sun shining from behind. Is that Austrian? Looks like a red tail, but then it would say Servus on the bottom, so that can be it. Leave it to the buffs in the chat to determine what this was. And well, seems like we have a bit of waiting to do. Looks like the first airplane to come this way is a Delta A330 that has just turned around the southern threshold of the center runway. Allows me some time to update the ticker, and then we can also have a look at a few more contrails that I see in the sky over here. First of all, let's have a look at the METAR, shall we? The weather. Wind has been increasing all along, still from the northeastern corner predominantly, but a bit variable between east and almost north. Has increased to 12 knots, began with just under 10 knots. It's now 4 above 4 wind, and we have few clouds at 2,500 feet, as I also showed you guys just now. Visibility is still 10 plus kilometers. There is no ceiling. The air temperature is 8 degrees Celsius. That is times 2, 16 plus 30, roughly 46 degrees Fahrenheit. The air pressure is still relatively high, 1,024 hectopascals. No significant changes in the upcoming 2 hours are expected. Well, runway usage, yeah, that's basically what it was before. We are standing approximately over here. This is runway 36 left right now, Polderbaan. And the center runway is also being used for departures, and the right runway, easternmost, is now being used for arrivals. Parallel departures in progress, and another airplane just took off from the center runway. Let me also update the ticker, 36C for departures and just 36 right for arrivals, and let's also paste that weather report that I copied just now into the ticker, paste and adjust the font, color and type. There we go. Right. Now that that's out of the way, let's see, the next airplane coming this way, Delta A330neo, and the first airplane taking to the sky from center is a Queen. Cargolux outbound to Luxembourg, flight 2613. 747-400 freighter, 15 years old. The first flight was in July 2008. In the meantime, looking on flight radar, I can see that the first airplane is the A330neo to Boston from Delta. There's also an A330-300 to New York JFK coming this way. Air Canada outbound to Toronto. Dreamliner is also coming our way, which looks like it might cross the center runway and shortcut. Yeah. Going for the full 180 to fly to the south over the city center of Amsterdam on its way to Luxembourg. Meanwhile, the first of a couple of heavies coming our way has arrived on this side of the platform area. Delta Airlines Flight 243 is this, going to Boston, Massachusetts in a few moments, an A330neo. And oh, there's more underway, excellent. Although, yeah, Turkish to Istanbul, 222 Nairobi, those are all going to take off probably from the center runway. Bit of a pity. Moment for rehydration before back to camera operation. Right, there she is, Delta Airlines Flight 243 A330neo, destination Boston, Massachusetts. The airplane is 4 years old. The first flight was in July 2019. Let's look and listen. The first next airplane is Air Canada Flight 809 outbound to Toronto, 7878 Dreamliner, and another Delta A330, but a 300 instead of a Neo is behind it, going to go to New York JFK. And then an Embraer 190 is also coming this way. And a happy Thursday to you too, ERB. Welcome to the show. And all other viewers who might have joined us in the meantime, welcome too. You're watching AMS Live. My name is Boy. We are standing alongside the Polderbaan. Runway 36 left today. And at the moment, one of two runways being used for departures. The wind is blowing from the northeast. This is Air Canada Flight 809 outbound to Toronto, 7878 Dreamliner, 9 years old, first flight October 2014. Maple syrup. In the meantime, we can see in the far left that our friendly neighborhood, the police is also coming this way. I think it's the first time I am seeing one of the patrol cars on this side. We did see police on the other side of the runway earlier, maybe doing some filming of their own. Either way, King Ding, goedemiddag. Joel, goedemiddag, good afternoon. Mike Wild, good afternoon to you too, mate. Hope all is well. This is Delta Airlines lined up right now, going to New York, JFK in a moment. A330, 300, 8 years old, first flight April 2015. Let's look and listen. Happy New Year! I can hear fireworks being set off behind me. Let's turn around, have a look. Also looks like there's more Viagra in the air these days. Looking at the windsock. And indeed, Jackie, a lot of fireworks. In the background is KLM flight 1445 going to Aberdeen in a few moments. It's an Embraer 190, the PHEXF. 8 years old, this one. First flight December 2015. ERB asks, are there fish in that water? There definitely are, mate. Absolutely. Namish says hello, and I say hello to you, Namish. Welcome to the show. Looking on flight radar, I can also see that in the meantime there is a Ryanair 737 outbound to Dublin that has arrived on this side of the platform area. Might catch a glimpse of it in the background in a moment. That was a moped passing from north to south, left of me on the cycling path. Here and there a few more low clouds are forming, as was also indicated in the meter. Generally speaking, still mostly blue sky over here. Definitely more contrails visible in the sky as well. Not too long, but there are a few. Let's first turn around before we are off to contrail spotting, because there's still one more airplane at least now that is coming this way, taking off already. Ryanair outbound to Dublin, 737-800, flight 421, 18 years old, first flight November 2005. Hey Jin Cathay spotter, good afternoon mate, good to see you, hope all is well. Let's have a second look at that contrail that we saw earlier. Moving from east to west, still a little northeast of me. This is the lighting we want. Now passing north of me. Also a tractor coming this way on the cycling path, as you guys can probably pick up already on the mic. And also heavy that just took off from center. Now there is a 737-800 to Bergen in the meantime that has arrived on this side of the platform area, and there's also a 777 outbound to Lima, a 300 ER that is also making its way over here. Let's see, Turkish A330 to Istanbul is now taking off from center, or at least is lined up. And that was Saudia 7872 to Manchester. King Ding says, thank you so much for the information. And meanwhile, this is KLM flight 1185 outbound to Bergen, 737-800. 25 years old already, this one. Millennial, again flying in January 1999 for the first time. You take sugar, Turkish? Nothing. You take sugar? No, thank you, Turkish. I'm sweet enough. Also have to think of snatch whenever I see Turkish in the sky or nearby. Well, Turkish sweets are sweet enough as well. This is KLM flight 743 outbound to Lima, a 777-300 ER. The PHBVB, 15 years old, first flight March 2008. Let's see, zooming out a little bit on Flight Radar to see what is coming. Oh, there's also a KLM A330 taxiing this way outbound to Sint Maarten. Delta A330 Neo to Orlando is also active on on the platform already. Still a long way from Polderbaan though, but an indication of what might still be coming on short notice. Adrie says tot ziens. Dag Adrie, fijne dag. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your day, mate. Sakib asks about the wind. The wind is blowing from the northeast. Last time we checked the meter, I believe it was 12 knots from memory. The water looks calm still. Contrails in the sky. Several actually, couple moving from south to north that are going to pass east of me. Whoops. But with the backlight, hard to see any details in the airplanes. Right, in the meantime, let's see. There is an Embraer to Cork coming this way. And Pegasus, Flypix, flight 1252 to Istanbul. The A321neo has just taken off from center. Big contrail remnant running from east to west or west to east, south of me. Now, in the water everything seems to be calm still. Earlier we saw some birds in the water just beyond the bridge. Now they no longer seem to be there. Oh, that's KLM Cargo that has arrived from Miami. Pity. That would have been nice. And that is that Gary? It does look like Gary the Grebe, or at least one of his relatives. There it is. Embraer 175 outbound to Cork, Ireland. Coming this way, KLM flight 1085. Question is, threshold, yes or no? I think yes. Meanwhile, Air Malta back to Malta has also taken off from the center runway just now. Although that looks like Avion or something flying for Air Malta, all white. Ghost airplane / wedding dress livery, whatever you would like to call it. Let's see, there is a car parked over there. Audi, by the looks of it. Ah, must be from this guy. Is he painting the fence or something? Everybody that was there before seems to have gone. Also, everybody that was here seems to have gone. Seems that I'm just about the only person over here, with the exception of this pedestrian. And it also seems that there is absolutely nobody at the Spottersplatz parking place itself. The fence now in the center of the field of view, that is where people can look at the airplanes from the parking place itself. Seem to be having the place all to myself again. And Josh is greeting us from Alabama. Good morning, Josh. Welcome to the show, mate. Hope all is well. Now, let's see. They aren't visible just yet, but they should become visible soon enough. Approaching from the right to begin with, KLM flight 787 and A330-300 outbound to Sint Maarten. Then a KLM 737-800 outbound to Dublin. Delta flight 37 outbound to Orlando, also coming this way. Joel is referring to a police chopper. Where would that be then? Not seeing any police choppers on flight radar. Certainly not seeing any in the sky looking around me. So there's the first next airplane, KLM flight 787, although might also see that the 737 that is following in its wake is going to take the first entrance and skips the line. Moment of quiet over here. Although we can see a landing airplane to 36 right, all the way in the distance. But from this location it is very hard to see any airplanes land on Schiphol with detail, in detail I should say. In the meantime, an A320 from Royal Air Maroc, Air Arabia Maroc. Wasn't there also an airline that used to be called Royal Air Maroc? Yeah, I believe there was. Air Arabia Maroc outbound to Nador, flight 122. 10-year-old airplane, first flight December 2013. There's also a contrail that looks like it is arriving from Frankfurt coming this way. Twin jet on the track, often being flown by airplanes from Frankfurt to the United States or Canada. Still hard to see any details other than that it is a twin jet. Still south east of me, probably in the vicinity of Utrecht, but that is just a very rough guesstimate from me. In the meantime, our first next airplane is getting ever closer to the runway threshold. KLM flight 787, and obviously not a Boeing 787 but an Airbus A330-300 going to Sint Maarten, which I think is a location we all would like to visit at some point. The airplane is 11 years old. The first flight of this airplane was in March 2012. And Jordi says hello all. Hello there, Jordi. ERB says, I wish you all an awesome day. Thank you so much for joining, and the same to you, my friend. Right, up next, KLM flight 935, lining up in the distance, going to Dublin, Ireland. In a few moments, it is a 737-800, 12 years old, first flight May 2011. Hey Wendy, goedemiddag. Is it afternoon already? Oh yeah, it is 12:30, nearly. Now, this airplane will have to wait a little for the wake turbulence of the preceding A330 to dissipate fully, or sufficiently, I should say. In the meantime, also another cloud blocking my sunshine and warmth. It was said that it was going to get a bit more cloudy as the day progressed. That is what is happening right now. Still no precipitation expected for the next several days. And even double-digit Celsius temperatures here tomorrow afternoon. Which also means that tomorrow and Saturday, me and my uncle are going to continue working on the tile work that still needs to be done in my backyard. So no streams tomorrow and Saturday. Not sure about Sunday. Hope that we are going to be finished by then, but I don't know for sure. If the next stream isn't going to be on Sunday, then hopefully on Monday. More fireworks. Very... Gary also literally re-emerged just now, and as he just heard me say it, he already knew that bloke is going to point the camera towards me. Let's dive under. Mother ducker. That Airlines flight 37 coming this way. A330neo going to Orlando, Florida. 2-year-old airplane, first flight February 2022. See that Dave is also back in the chat. Good to see you, Dave. Hope all is well. Indeed, Han, working in the garden. Gotta slice and dice up some tiles to rearrange them. Took out a couple. Want to make a nice patch of grass and around it a bit of terrace and a path to the exit of the backyard. Means rearranging the tiles and cutting them to size. Need one of those big ass circular saws with diamond blades that you can saw through concrete to do that. And also a bit of decent weather. Now the machine was available and so too was my uncle, so renting it for the weekend, which means from Friday 12 p.m. until Monday 12 p.m. for a fixed rate. So we're going to start tomorrow and yeah, hopefully have it finished by Saturday end of the day, preferably, so that I can also go out for another stream on Sunday. But I think we should be able to make it in time, but you never know for sure. Now, ladies and gentlemen, members, also dust off your playtime emoji, because pretty soon it is that time again. First, we are going to see KLM flight 667 depart to Austin, Texas. This is a Boeing 7879 Dreamliner. Seven-year-old airplane, first flight June 2016, the BHG. Rohan, the machine is water cooled, so I'm guessing it doesn't make as much noise as what is it called in English? I don't know. In Dutch, Haakse slijper, which is very loud. I think this circular saw will be a bit less loud. I will have to warn the neighbors though, because they have a rabbit in the backyard in a little rabbit home or whatever you call it. And Floppy needs to be put inside, otherwise that little animal is going to get a heart attack. But the neighbor already said, just give me a text message when you are going to do it, and we'll take care of the rabbit. So mustn't forget to text him later after I'm done streaming, but I won't. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is playtime. Going to Reykjavik in a moment. Play flight 461 A320neo. Show her some love, some red love in the chat. Red alert. The airplane we're about to see pass by is a year old and began flying for the first time in October of the year 2022. Well, actually, Paul, it's Floppy with an A, and that is in reference to a song by a Dutch comedian. Christmas song about Floppy the bunny. That was Christmas dinner. And thank you, Joel, for your kind words. The circular saw doesn't make as much noise as boy. Oh, what's he like, eh? Well, with the coughing, I am definitely louder than normal. Luckily, it is slowly but surely getting less severe. About damn time. Leaping month almost. After actually gotten the flu. Right, up next, KLM flight 1273 outbound to Poznan. Embraer 190. She's 14 years old. Her first flight was in July 2009. Angle grinder. Thank you, Ed. I knew it, but I didn't know it immediately. Hey Matt, goedemiddag. Good to see you again. Hope all is well. Alright, now let's see. What is up? E2 Embraer is coming up. E2 Embraer to Billund. Visible in the distance coming this way. And thank you so much for your continued support there. Michael, who is celebrating 2 months of membership. Michael writes, good afternoon all. Another lovely stream. Thank you so much for your kind words and for your continued support there, Michael. Hope you still will like it in the lounge for many more months to come. And if something isn't to your liking, do let me know. Let me see if I can fix it then. The E2 also taking off from the threshold. KLM flight 1345. Brand new airplane. That means less than a year old on flight radar. The first flight was actually in July last year. Joe says, nice and flat and open at this airport. Reminds me of my hometown airport, Dayton. Well, with the exception of the province of Limburg, the southeasternmost province, the entire country is flat and open. That's the Netherlands for you. Just so quiet. Meanwhile, it is getting a bit more cloudy for the first time since we've been here. Looking to the north, this is where the wind is coming from approximately. Now very clearly indicated also by the chimney smoke that is blowing towards us more or less straight. Definitely a bit more formation of clouds on lower levels now. By the way, not just in the north or northeast, but also south of us. There are more clouds in the sky. Now let's have a look. Narrow bodies, narrow bodies, narrow bodies, narrow bodies. Something to Las Vegas. Emirates A380 has landed. Joel says, I'm so pleased with my MS Live thermos. Keeps my drinks cool and hot. It is a great thermos. I'm happy that you're glad with it. Thank you so much for your support as well. If you are interested in thermoses with the MS Live logo, have a look at in the merch store. Meanwhile, departures from center still take place. Mostly narrow bodies now on both runways coming up, but there are a couple of heavy hitters also making their way over to the runways. Roadhog also back in the chat. Morning, mate. Well, at least morning for the Brits. It's afternoon already over here in mainland Europe. Hey. In the meantime, Here's our next airplane. This is KLM Flight 1281, Embraer 190 outbound to Edinburgh. And we have another E2 coming this way. We'll be departing to Gothenburg, and looking on flight radar now, there is a Dreamliner 10 outbound to Delhi. We'll be taking off in a few moments. KLM Flight 871. Let's have a look at that, shall we? Hoi, ik ben mooi. Ik dacht ik ken je gezicht ergens van. Ernst Kleene. Ja. Top. Ja, leuk man. Het is een beetje rustig hier vandaag. Ja, toen was het ook wel wat zonniger. En wat minder wind. Ernst Kleene, the guy that also photographed me earlier with the A350 in the background, I believe it was also in the winter months, I believe. Also here, another day at Polderbaan. Only the hardcore people are here today. Well wrapped up. Nice to meet you in person, man. So let's have a look, because I was at the threshold of the other runway. This must be KLM Flight 1281, the Embraer 190 outbound to Edinburgh. Yeah. Let's see, now we have two Embraer 195s coming our way, and no heavies immediately taking off from the center runway. There's a third one coming. Norwegian is coming, a Max 8. Is that one with a grumpy face? No, just a lipstick livery. 737 to Newcastle is also coming this way. Looking at the busyness, no, wait, yeah, I think they might have changed the runway once again, because a lot of traffic is now coming to this runway. Han says NAF C130 now behind you. You mean from the east? Or what? Or from the north? Joe asks, what industry are the chimneys from? I'm assuming you mean the chimneys that I used to show you guys the wind with. Those are the AEB waste. What is it? Waste processing, recycling. I'm not sure. I think they recycle. It was said before. Somebody looked it up. I thought it was it's a waste management firm, so to speak. I believe they burn energy, they burn waste so that they generate energy with it. So it's a power plant on the one hand, and I also believe that they did something with recycling, but don't pin me down on that. I don't know for sure. And the C-130 at 800 feet over the coast. Well, if it is flying at 800 feet, it is flying so low and so far west of us that we will not be able to see it over here. Both Ernst and I are looking to see if we can spot something over the coast west of us. From north to south. We're looking, but we're not seeing anything. Really isn't much to see. There's another E2 spooling up. I heard whale sounds just now. That is KLM flight 1129 outbound to Copenhagen. Is goed man. Hey, fijne dag. Hoi hoi, dank je. E2 Embraer 195, 1 year old, first flight March 2022. Coot says 747 for AMS flying in the north from the west. Let's see. Scrolling, zooming out, pinching. Oh yeah, 7478. Atlas Air. Current altitude, let's see, 6,000 and descending. Still should be somewhere over there, but as you guys can see, it is getting ever more cloudy, also to the west. We'll have to be very lucky to see a 747 from Atlas, which by the looks of it is also still a bit further off the coast, to spot it. Absolutely not seeing anything, unfortunately. I do see that parallel arrivals are in progress, which means that Polderbaan currently is the only runway being used for departures once more. We have a group of 4 airplanes coming this way. Narrow bodies, all of them still. And Jal, thank you so much for joining. See you on the next one. And hi there, Johanna, who had to do grocery shopping first. Priorities first. That's a good thing. Now, also a very big thank you to Dutch SV650 for your continued support. 3 months of membership. He writes, a friend of mine will take off from Polder at 12:59. Is that in one of the airplanes that are currently coming over here? In the meantime, let me adjust the ticker with respect to runway usage. PA Aviation, good afternoon to you too. Sun is out, still a bit chilly, it's a bit windy and it's getting a bit more cloudy, but it is definitely much better than we've had in a long time, so I'm not complaining. Lovely weather here, spring is in the air. An airplane that I did not see on flight radar just now, Transavia. Now next up, Norwegian outbound to Stockholm. It's a max 8, flight 84534, brand new. First flight was in August 2023. Blank lipstick airplane, no grumpy faces on the tail of this one. Then it looks like another E2 is going to come next. Lined up at the far end of the runway, the threshold. KLM flight 1201 coming this way, outbound to Stavanger. Brand new airplane, first flight June this year, June. 6th month and not the 7th. Now, Embraer 175 to Inverness is also ready to line up. There's also an Embraer 190 to Geneva. At that entrance to the runway that I normally stand in line with when standing on that side of the runway. Looks like that is going to go first, or is it? Let's turn back. Yeah, well, the Embraer 190 is creeping ahead, skipping the line. The line skipper is KLM flight 1929 outbound to Geneva. Embraer 190, 10 years old, first flight December 2013. And Jackie, I don't think that it is warm enough for me yet to be doing any gardening nude on Saturday. Man. Let's see. We have big guns coming this way, ladies and gentlemen. So if you need to take a bathroom break, be quick. If you need to grab a fresh cup of coffee or make some tea, you still have a few more minutes. We've got heavy hitters coming our way. One of the first airplanes to arrive and will take off to Hong Kong is Cathay Pacific, the A350-1000. Should be turning around the corner in a few moments. Got a 7879 Dreamliner to Las Vegas also coming this way. Max 8 from Iceland Air. Triple 7 from Qatar to Doha has also been pushed back. That's good news. Also, a lot of airplanes are making their way over here, a lot of narrow bodies, and we might see their tails or do we? There's another one coming, right to left, then it has to make a 90-degree left-hand turn, then you will see the tail like a shark fin move left to right. Except when the narrow bodies are so tiny that you don't see the tails protruding above the trees and whatnot. Is that the 747? I think it is. Yeah, that's the 7478 from Atlas Air coming to the center runway, I believe. Can I also get the... oh shit. I was trying to fetch the airplane flight details, but let's not do that. If I recall correctly, it was Atlas Air 7478 arriving from Miami. We'll be landing on runway center. It says Polar. This is a different one. There's also one where it's all white and the yellow, only the tail is yellow, but this one also still has the letters or the text Polar on it. Pity that we cannot see it from up close. However, we are going to see, and most importantly hear, this airplane in a minute. The A350-1000 from Cathay Pacific going to Hong Kong. Flight 270, 4-year-old airplane. First flight March 2019. And again, Alvin, what you doing, man? Thank you so much for a super chat that you definitely did not have to send, because you are doing more than enough to support the channel as a moderator as it is already. I've loved this stream so much, but I have to go to sleep now. Thanks so much, boy, and have a lovely day, everyone. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Alvin. It's been a pleasure to have had you on the stream again. Know you've been busy. Always nice to have you on the stream. Looking forward to seeing you on the next one. Sleep tight, and hopefully see you again soon during the next one. Magnificent airplane, but we cannot linger too long on her departure, because behind us on the other side of the runway the next airplane is already lining up. KLM flight 635 outbound to Las Vegas. Boeing 7879 Dreamliner, 8 years old, first flight's January 2016. A little bit of brake dust as the gears of the wheels of the main gear get stopped before getting pulled into the fuselage. And one flying AMS Live logo on their way to Las Vegas. Next up is going to be a MAX 8 going to Reykjavik, Iceland Air, flight 507. Lois also has to go. Thank you for the kind words and thank you for joining. See you on the next one and enjoy the rest of your day, Lois. This Iceland Air Boeing 737 MAX 8 is 5 years old. The first flight of this airplane was in August of the year 2018. And here it comes. Looks like an Aegean A321neo is going to be the next airplane to take off, unless the airplane that looks to become a line skipper is lining up. That's not the case. Aegean flight 3625 up next, outbound to Athens, A321neo, 3 years old, first flight November 2020. No time to waste. Right, the line skipper is going to go next. KLM flight 1919 to Gdansk, Poland. And already on the move, an Embraer 175. 6 years old, first flight January 2018. Up, up and away. Little wobbly. KLM flight 1825 is going to be next, outbound to Berlin. Boeing 737-800. The airplane is 24 years old, this one. First flight was in June 1999, so we have another millennial at our hands. I think you might be right, Paul. The wind does feel, and has been for a while now, feeling like it is picking up a little bit. Or at least getting a little bit more variable, sometimes a bit more gusty. Let's see, this is KLM flight 1767 and an Embraer 175 going to Frankfurt. 6 years old, first flight November 2017. And then a 737 to Ljubljana, and after that I think a Qatar triple to Doha, which we might also catch a glimpse of in the background. Yep. Oh no, there's also an Embraer 190 that is going to go to Aalborg, that is probably going to skip the line. But not before the Transavia flight 6819 outbound to Ljubljana in Slovenia. 7-year-old airplane, first flight May 2016. Infinity, goedemiddag. Jordi asks about the biggest plan you've ever seen. My biggest plan I've ever seen was the A380. And the 747-8 is also pretty big. And indeed, Gerrit, it is a bit busy right now with all departures taking place from this runway. Couple of heavies in the background. After this airplane, one Embraer 190 still to go. The last light refreshment before we're going over to the main course. And hello to Veldi. Good to see you again. Hope all is well. You can definitely see cloudiness is increasing as well. Less moments of sunshine, more shady moments. As if I'm not shady enough already. This is KLM flight 1333 going to Aalborg, Embraer 190. The airplane is 14 years old. The first flight was in January 2010. Right, let's turn around for Qatar flight 276 going to Doha, a 777-300ER, 9 years old. The first flight of this airplane was in June 2014 and she's coming already this way. Next up is a KLM 777-300ER outbound to Tokyo Narita. KLM flight 861. The airplane 3 years old. The first flight December 2020. Opus 90 from General Electric is what is playing right now, ladies and gentlemen. Right, let's continue with the heavies later. Now it is back to some light refreshments. Starting off with this airplane, KLM flight 1475, a 737-800, going to Glasgow. She's a millennial, 24 years old, first flight April 1999. Now, what's the hold up? Looking around me, don't see any bird control vehicles on the tarmac. And clearance has been given, so there she comes. KLM flight 1475, outbound to Glasgow, 737-800, 24 years old. more light refreshments. Another 737-800 up next, KLM flight 1695 outbound to Lisbon. Lined up and ready to go in a few moments. This particular airplane a bit younger, half as old as the preceding airplane. 12 years, first flight May 2011. And then it is time for another 777, a 200 going to Calgary. I say that with a question mark since I'm now watching at the flight details of this airplane. KLM flight 1233 outbound to Paris Charles de Gaulle. Peter has to go. Thank you so much for joining, Peter. Until the next one. This is KLM flight 677, 777-200 going to Calgary. 17 years old. First flight March 2006. Right. See that I pressed on the wrong label just now, and this is indeed the flight to Paris Charles de Gaulle. That's what you get when you get shitloads of 737s from KLM all lined up in the same area. You don't see it that you pressed the wrong airplane until you press on the label and see the same data again as you read out before. So this should be actually KLM flight 1233 outbound to Paris Charles de Gaulle, 737-800, 4 years old, first flight April 2019. Let me have a look at what is coming up. Yeah, I think the next airplane after this one, the A350, is going to be the last airplane of the day. The A350 to Atlanta, a nice, beautiful airplane, both visually and auditory to wrap up with. I'm glad you're so forgiving, Paul. And otherwise, you just hop on an airplane and come see me in person. I'm sure we'll be able to resolve things as grown-ups. Right, let's go. Know what that means when you make errors and you have to resolve it as grown-ups. It means making a personal improvement plan. Alrighty. Now, this is the last airplane for today's show, ladies and gentlemen. Delta Airlines Flight 75, outbound to Atlanta, Georgia. It's an A350-900. Look at her, isn't she beautiful? The airplane is 5 years old. First flight March 2018. Adriaan says, each mistake means being in the air for another minute longer. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that was the last airplane for today's show. I am going to wrap it up now. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you had as much fun as I had. A very big thank you for everyone for your support. If you liked what you saw and you haven't done so already, don't forget to drop another like. It really helps to spread this content to more aviation fans such as yourselves. Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell if you haven't done already, to stay informed of upcoming live streams. As I said before, I am going to do gardening work tomorrow and Saturday, and I hope I can be back on Sunday, but if not, then at least I will be back on Monday, I promise. Thanks to you all for watching. I need coffee, my English is deteriorating by the minute. Thanks for the support, for all the super chats, the super stickers, for the PayPal donations, for the merch store purchases, for becoming a member yourself, for gifted memberships. You guys rock, and this channel is nothing without you guys. Thank you all so much. Moderators, once again, thank you for keeping this chat friendly, happy and accessible. I hope to see you on the next one. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. See you hopefully Sunday or otherwise Monday. Take care. Bye for now.